Hey guys, what's up? It's me, MC Matador here, and today I am bringing you a project that I've been trying to put together for a long time. You can see the title, Walt Disney World Resort, The Good, The Bad, and the Double-Edged Blades. Now, just for a bit of context, for those who are not fully in the loop, I went to Orlando's Disney World Resort back in March of 2019 for my high school senior music trip. They do that about once every 2 years, and I was a senior in high school. I took the opportunity that I know I wouldn't have gotten with the music stuff ever again, but just the fact that I had no plans to go to Disney World, and I had a half-decent rate, as you'll see later, to go about it. And for those of you who did know about that, you may be wondering why exactly no content since March of 2019, other than the blurs in my recent 25 Part Countdown series, has become of it. Now, I definitely have wondered myself why. I've never posted a synopsis, I never posted a countdown, I never even posted like a predictions video that I used to do when it comes to that stuff. I just wanted to explore. This is the park that I definitely left feeling one of the most complex moods that I ever felt leaving a theme park. Weird blend of joy and sadness and just complex disappointment for a bevy of reasons. And this is not the plot to Inside Out either. This is not my emotions taking control. And if I were to try and do a recreation of Inside Out, it would be absolutely terrible, and I would never live it down. Moving on, I want to get that joke out of the way. It probably was terrible. I'm sorry. So due to this feeling I had, I had plenty of time to simmer in them because my ride to Disney World was a 28-hour charter bus ride in which I had to sleep on the fucking floor. Copa. I was hesitant to putting out Disney content because I just wanted to understand this place more. There are people who will defend Disney to the death and swear upon them to no end, and then those who flame Disney for just breathing or existing as an entity as a whole. I mean, I think that for that context, I'm not going to refer to the Disney company, more so the Disney park, or parks, because they have a lot of them. And me, I'm just kind of lost in the fray. I'm trying to process each of these arguments, and I'm trying to back up my own experiences to try and create my own opinion. Which, as a result of such a scene, I decided to break down what Disney does best, what Disney does poor, and what Disney does in both a duality of good and bad. Now, one of my favorite things about the Disney park was the atmosphere, the ambiance. I built upon this in my 25 park countdown. Of all the parks I visited, Disney parks gave me the greatest ambiance, I probably should say just the greatest ambiance, not among the greatest ambiance, the greatest ambiance I have ever been in a theme park. It was an inexplicable mix of magic, bustle, and insanity from the Florida heat. Even though I went in March, it was still hot, especially since it was like 40 degrees when I first got on the bus and 50 degrees when I got back. So, no Six Flags Park or Cedar Fair Park has even come close to the atmosphere and ambiance of a Disney park, and I've been to both Dollywood and Silver City. They kind of get it, but they only tackle one theme really well, which is the old-timey and rustic theme, as well as a couple other jargon. So, what does Disney do? First things first, they have 4 parks. Hollywood Studios, which catches the hustle and bustle of Hollywood, while also matching some of their corporate integration, like Toy Story and Star Wars lands, respectively. Magic Kingdom feels like a fairy tale with lots of charm and scenery and captures the magic of fiction, something so simple yet so effective. Animal Kingdom feels like a real yet civil jungle with large, sprawled-out wooded terrain and animals that you can see, a very animal-centric theme, just the circle of life, and it also is, civilized. Just the circle of life is kind of the best way I'd put it, which they kind of use as their own mantra there. And then Epcot, it's kind of obtuse because it kind of does both the winds of the future while also capturing masterfully the multicultural festival of the worlds. Just diversity and unity and all these countries coming together in Expo 85 or whatever it is. It was pretty crazy, and especially since Epcot didn't have a lot of attractions to begin with. For a good chunk of my extended time there, being that I had basically from just past open to just before close at a lot of these parks, I just often found walking around, taking in the scenery a lot more entertaining than getting a re-ride or exploring a new ride. It wasn't really high on my list, and yeah, it truly has to be seen to be believed. Just this atmosphere is absolutely impressive, and I absolutely love it. I can get lost in these parks for hours and just kind of take in the ambiance. I mean, also, I gotta get my feet a rest sometimes and kind of get a good meal, which food appears nowhere on this except for one little aspect. Moving on, we have the second good, the ride quality. Even though Disney hails in comparison to quantity compared to other amusement parks, the quality blows many similar, if not better experienced rides out of the water just because of their theming and cutting-edge technology. A few notable examples of rides that absolutely blew my mind are Tower of Terror and especially Flight of Passage. Flight of Passage, even though I had never watched Avatar, absolutely blew my mind and had my jaw on the floor the entire way back to the bus. It was my last ride of the night, and I absolutely was blown away by the amount of detail and technology that went into it. I cannot recommend it enough. The experience is so well themed and surreal with the both of them, especially Flight of Passage, and you just have to see them to believe them, really. The roller coasters aren't no slouch either. They're really not the most thrilling coasters. The more thrilling ones being Expedition Everest and Rock and Roller Coaster, which also happens to be my two favorite and two of the best themed. Seven Dwarfs Mine Chain, Big Thunder Mountain Railroad, Space Mountain, and Slinky Dog Dash are all pretty good rides with a really good theme, and there are no slouches either. And then you just have Primeval Whirl and Dino Land USA, which just sticks out like a gangrenous wound in both quality and theming. Yeah, it's not a good fit at all. I don't understand Dino Land USA. That kind of wraps it up for the good. Obviously, these are not the only things that the park does well, but these are the things that stuck out to me for what the quality of the rides are. I think that there is a lot of good stuff. I mean, there are plenty of other good things that may not even experience. Like, the entertainment is world class. Like, they have the food, which the food is at, like, pretty good quality for an amusement park. It's not Dollywood cinnamon bread levels of good, but it's definitely above average, if not even like delectable food. And the dining options as well are, even though kind of expensive, they are vast, plentiful, and available. And just the amount of ways you can eat at the park. Disney food is even its own niche subject. Like channels like Disney Food Blog have just amassed an entire culture based off Disney cuisine, as well as just Disney parks as a whole. This Disney parks are a huge, not just a being of the parks, but also a community as a whole. Now, with the good, I want to get to the next thing later. I want to talk about I want to save the negativity for the end because it matches my cynic personality very well. So let's move on to the duality. And probably the biggest thing that left me with the most obtuse disappointment I ever felt in my life, while also giving me inexplicable joy and troublesome sorrows, was the characters. If Disney is known for one thing other than their rides, it is the interaction with their IP characters. On the positive, their characters, in both appearance and demeanor, are the industry standard for all other theme park character interactions that likely came after it. Heck, Disney could even be the one solely responsible for popularizing this movement of having theme park characters. Like, if Disney wasn't corporate, maybe Six Flags wouldn't have Looney Tunes, or maybe the art of mascoteering wouldn't even be as close to what it is today, where just literally anything has a mascot to quote-unquote be viable. I don't know. I would love to study that more if that's a thing. On the contrary, you can't, it's very few words, but that does not say the volume of how well these characters perform, act, and all the work they have to go through in order to keep up with this. On the contrary, though, the selection and availability strongly suggest an extreme bias. It even borders on maddening inconsistency. I'm gonna admit, I'm 19, I'm an avid character hunter, and I come from a generation of Disney where I grew up on that isn't even close to desirable in today's market. The post-Renaissance era of Disney. Even then, that's not enough of an argument to try and justify why I'm not being catered to. But more on that. Let's talk about what's there. What's actually there. They love to cram in as much as what is known as the Fab Five, although it could be called the Superb Six because of maybe some of my lack of understanding, particularly Minnie Mouse, Mickey Mouse, Donald Duck, Goofy, and Pluto, and sometimes Daisy, kind of like Y being the fifth vowel. Just, she's there sometimes, but sometimes not. And they love putting these Fab Five or Superb Six everywhere. Like, they appear in multiple places at every park. And what do you do when you run out of things to do with the Fab Five? Well, you have certain themed lands in the areas. Why not worry about those? You know, you got Toy Story Land in Hollywood Studios. You got Norway and the Epcot World Pavilion. So why not jam in Frozen? And then Star Wars, of course, has New Galaxy's Edge. And then, of course, you gotta cater to the kids and family first things with the Disney Junior booth at Hollywood Studios. But other than that, the selection is odd at best. A weird mix of classics, moderns, and more or less unrecognizable ones. The amount of people I see being confused over Launchpad McQuack or Max in Dinoland USA of all places, or regular meet and greets, is absurd. And of course, I I could try and list as many classics as I can at the top of their head. I mean, some of them are tales as old as time, so to say. Of course, you got your princesses, Snow White and Cinderella, and of course, Elsa is the whole Frozen thing, and of course, Tinkerbell, one of the oldest, most famous Disney tales, and Winnie the Pooh and Tigger, and the whole Winnie the Pooh Crystal Palace ordeal is a fantastic place to see them. They got Gaston, who probably only exists in the park just because he is absolutely a hunk with the guests. Him being an egotistical maniac, or not maniac, but egotistical, just broad, probably makes him extremely popular for guests to interact with. Stitch being a temporary meet and greet in the abandoned Stitch Great Escape. And, then you also have, I believe, the princess from Brave, I forget her name, Medina, I think? I'm just drawing a blank. Like, you can tell I'm running thin on this stuff right now. I think they have regular meet and greets with Aladdin and Muppets, and of course more of the Fab Five. Why wouldn't you have the Fab Five? Oh, and you also got to mention the characters that appear only in shows that you can't interact with them in the slightest, which is a surprisingly high amount of them. Or the ones that only appear in, maybe the Hakuna Matata Dance Party, which actually has a fair share of rare characters. Turk, Timon, Rafiki, Coda Bear, or is it Kenai? I can't remember which one. It's one of the brother bears. Miko, which that's one of the ones I actually got to check off my list, and I think there was another one. Oh, and they got the Up characters in Animal Kingdom, Russell and Doug, and sometimes Carl. They got Kevin. But the amount of characters that exist in the park at the moment is a fraction of the characters that exist in Disney's history. I'm not saying they should bring back the costume designs from the 1950s. That is absolutely the worst idea. But what I'm saying is that they should they should have a policy of maximum inclusivity. It probably wouldn't be a huge step up on resources because they already have such an extensive collection and a large amount of resources being dedicated to it. I disagree with the idea completely of characters being deemed rare or extinct. Just kind of dangling someone's dream over their head is barbaric. I do believe that at minimum they should have an annual event, say like Disney Fan Days, where even characters from the more popular series can have some of the lesser supporting characters, like, say, let's just say The Incredibles, or would feature people like Frozone, or Edna, or say they have the Villains Day, or The Lion King, you can maybe meet the hyenas, or from Monsters, Inc., you can meet some of the other ambiance monsters. Toy Story, you can meet Bullseye. There's a lot of existing characters that don't get represented even though their series still remain popular. It's just it's selective bias. And, I'm kind of also saying this as I'm a bitter Disney fan. I'm not Disney fan, but bitter park goer to say that the one character that was my absolute childhood from Disney, keep in mind post-Renaissance, so DreamWorks, Pixar, and other studios were going a lot stronger than Disney at the time, was from the 2008 animated film Walt, the character of the same name. The film has been largely forgotten by the general public, but has a considerable group among those, especially in my demographic, who would absolutely adore being able to meet him on a consistent basis. Whether it's once a day, one location, X time, don't miss it. It shouldn't be hard. But no, Bolt has been extinct for well over a decade with consistent meet and greets, and really the only chance you have of meeting Bolt is absolute dumb luck. Stuffing and stiffing the opportunities of many a magical moments, because I'm going to admit, I would have probably fucking lost it if I had met Bolt in public. Like, maybe not breakdown crying type of thing, but I would have gone ham, because 7-year-old me would have just like fallen over. I don't know. I love this whole art thing, and let's just say that, of course, the counter argument would be, hey, Bolt's not relevant anymore. He's from a film that's from a forgotten era of Disney that has been just moved on upon with no further development. My counter? It's a win-win, regardless if you know him or not. For those too old, or for the most part too young to meet him, he is a big, white, fluffy dog. Look at it in the bottom right corner. How do you not approach that? How do you not like that? I might be biased on my opinion here. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not an entitled rat, I promised, but I'm trying to just see if I can convey some sort of argument, because I absolutely forbid the idea of a rare or extinct character, especially if they're from an IP. If it's like Teapot number 3 from Beauty and the Beast, maybe not. But it is an absolutely, it's painful that people, especially the more dedicated fans, don't have their wish. Another major example that I really like is the fact that Zootopia, 2016 animated film, huge award winner, best animated film, blah 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 blah. You've probably heard of it. They have not ever at Disney World. In Disneyland they have, but in Disney World they have not ever included a proper representation or consistent meet and greet spot for Nick and Judy, despite it being one of Disney's billion-dollar animated films. It's not hard. It really isn't. But they just make it so difficult and such a tease. It just might be my bias speaking out of my ass, but I gotta say that this kind of thing just doesn't make me angry, but it disappoints me to no end. Like, at the very least, like I said, have an annual event like Disney Fan Days in Paris, where you just kind of have everything hit the streets at once, and everyone's dreams can come true if we're a price tag, because, Disney. Moving on and just getting off of this topic before I get accused of being a furry, number 2 is the queuing system for a Duality. Disney is synonymous with their Flash Pass system. The fact that everyone has access to a legalized line-skipping pass at a specific time as long as they book it first for a specific ride. I was very lucky to have scored some Flash Passes, because the Flash Pass is a broken system. No kidding. It is not even worth waiting in the standard queue, even if it says like an hour, if you were to go on especially low-capacity rides. Space Mountain is my favorite example, because the trains are only 6 people there, and they don't dispatch any quicker than Expedition Everest. Like, I'm not kidding when I say Space Mountain is an absolute must to get a Flash Pass, and I got 2 rides on it, both in the back, because got lucky. Without it, I would expect to wait at least an hour for every major ride during busy periods, which I'll get into that later, and it's gonna not be much better in lesser periods, I can imagine. Like I said, it's a broken system. I don't like it. Those who are dedicated enough get a free method to skip a line or 2. No price tag at all, just gotta have the app. Even all of them, if they keep schedule, they can have a fast pass for every freaking ride in the park if they keep schedule. But the method screws over, just like the economy, the unprepared and unknowing visitors that will get stuck in a painfully long line just because they don't know. I don't usually approve of paywalling things, but when you run a park like Disney, people will actually, no kidding, pay to get past the lines. This is a place where Disney can make even more money than they already do, which is a strange concept in its own. But I don't fully understand the Fast Pass. I literally, oh my god, I literally wrote Fab. I'm a Six Flags Great America boy through and through. This was hard for me to change Flash to Fast. I am an idiot. Sorry. I am terribly sorry, but this video must go on because I've already wasted several hours doing this. I'm just gonna kill it right here and then out of shame. Moving on to the bad stuff. We got the price. Everyone knows it. Disney is expensive. Just for me to visit all 4 parks with a quint hotel room, so I got stuck with 4 16-year-old boys in my room. I got the pull-out couch because I was 18 and I didn't want to get accused of pedophilia. As a joke, of course. Plus the food, plus some exclusive music extracurricular activities like performing a live concert at Disney Springs Gazebo and a music panel almost for string orchestra players, which I actually missed because I collapsed from I basically collapsed from dehydration and sleep deprivation. Fun. I'm scared actually. I'm scared to imagine how much it would cost for a family of 4 to pay for the same experience I had, minus the music stuff. Let's just say that they're going to go without the music stuff because that's exclusive to music travel agencies, whatever. And that cost, it also can include travel. I took a bus, which is the cheapest but longest and most inconvenient form of transportation. I can only imagine how much a plane ticket would cost to Orlando, especially for a Midwestern family like me. If a Midwestern family of 4, especially with kids, books a flight to go to all 4 Disney parks and Disney Springs to stay a whole week, I am absolutely nervous to figure out how much that would cost this poor family. Like, I'm sorry. And people do this from further away. People do this from other continents. People do this from Europe. People do this from Asia. People do this from other countries like Canada. And even South America has Disney World tours. It just makes me wonder about the economic side of this. It's basic microeconomics that consumers are supposed to think rationally and marginally. Disney has to have a heck of a lot of marginal benefit to attract so many people with that price tag. What is it that makes it happen? Is it the brand? It's gotta be the brand. The Disney brand and experience is synonymous with the Disney magic, and it's an absolute status to go to Disney for a family vacation. It's the brand. If Disney were to be put in a vacuum, I'd be very curious to see how it does. If it were an unknown brand with the exact same experiences as it already does, but everything is stripped of the brand in a vacuum, I wonder if it would be successful, especially with all the operations that go behind it. It's strange. It makes me wonder if even the consumers of this who buy this even think marginally or rationally. It makes me wonder, is the brand that powerful? Human desires are strange. For me, you know me, I'm a coaster enthusiast. I live in Illinois. For me, I can go to Cedar Point for 2 days and Kings Island for a fraction of the cost. And I would have so much more fun than going to Disney. I can even take it by the road. Everything would cost less. Transportation, hotels, admission, and just everything, and food. Everything, well, the food may be little, especially if I don't know, food is a toss-up. But everything costs less, and I could do more for less. That's kind of the mantra of my rational thinking. I'm not trying to hate on Disney, but damn is it expensive. It is, oh my goodness. It doesn't take an idiot to know that Disney's expensive. But it does take a special kind of person to not think marginally about Disney and just kind of pay the price tag no matter what it does for them. It's fascinating almost. And number 2, the crowding. It's no secret that Disney is most likely the most popular amusement park in the United States, if not the world, or the resort as a whole, I should say. I went in March of 2019. I went with a high school, meaning that I was not going to miss schooling days in order to go to this park. So, by deduction, I went during spring break. The parks were obscenely crowded all the time. Not jam-packed like you see in these pictures. That's kind of Mickey's Not Very Scary Halloween Party, or like Mickey's Very Merry Christmas just kind of territory, or just maybe, I think one of these pictures said it was from New Year's Eve. It wasn't that bad when I went, but it was bad. And combined with the low density of rides, it kind of leads to fairly long queues for everything for who wants to ride. It's not always a negative because, Disney tries their best to offer things that aren't rides, like live entertainment, character interactions, or full-service restaurants, or just maybe those who are like me, trying to just enjoy the ambiance. Now, yeah, this leads to a crowd that, it's burdensome, but I would highly advise trying to plan going around the lower crowd times. If you want a time to book a Disney trip, book it in January. Because ain't nobody going to Disney in January. If you try booking in spring break, the entirety of summer, Halloween, or basically October through December, you are screwed. I'm sorry. Just book your trip in January or April, and then never else. And even then, we're going to get to Cedar Point levels of territory to where it's so crowded that crowded is just the norm. It's going to be advanced crowded at the hardest capacity at a regular basis. I'm going to say as well, if you go to not so scary Halloween party or whatever it's called, or the Very Merry Christmas, it's absolute madness there. Disney crowds, how you can fit 13 million people in that property for freaking that space in a year. Great America hits about 3.5 million a year. That is 10 million more people. That is 5 times the margin, basically. It's 4 to 5 times the margin of popularity. It's absurd. I struggle trying to wrap my head around Disney. But, yeah, if you're going to go to Disney, don't do what I did. Try and go during a, hopefully, less crowded time. You can't guarantee it. Disney's always crowded. So, I forgot to make this slide, but I want to say my overall thoughts. I enjoyed my Disney World trip. I think it was worth the money, but I didn't think it exceeded the value of the money I paid. $1,200 for just me, not my family, to go to Disney was a lot. And we spent, at least it was a breakdown payment plan. You paid the $1,200 over the course of 18 months, if I remember correctly. The fundraising started back at the start of my junior year, and we just paid in installments, $200, $300, as well as being able to lower the cost by fundraising for the school's music department to replace instruments and whatever profit after X amount. I think it was 2 to 5 purchases went to your balance, and I ended up saving about $150 that way, which it was cool. And it does definitely. I wasn't expecting Disney to be this absolute mecca of entertainment to where I would just enjoy absolutely everything and would never want to leave and yada yada yada. It's not that. I knew this is a place where I was probably going to be one and done unless they do a special event that caters exactly to my likes. I have no plans on returning to Disney in the future, and even less to other Disney parks now that I've experienced a Disney park for the first time. Maybe it's not a basis of where you've done them all, but definitely a basis to where you kind of understand what the magic is, and things typically wear down the more you go. I know a friend who used to go to Disney World annually, and it makes me wonder how he did it. If I went a second time and did the exact same trip, I would struggle to even comprehend how I would pass the time, because I already have the credits. I don't need to ride certain things again. I could try other things, I guess. I don't know. It's just crazy. I'm really struggling to understand Disney World. But maybe you're not supposed to understand it. They're just an entity that's so powerful, they don't care what you think. They don't care what I think. They're never going to change anything. They're just going to beat their own drum and drone out all the haters, because they're making all the money for this. And it's inevitable. So, on that note, none of this matters. I just wanted to see if you guys would even listen, make it this far, whatever. I wanted to post my opinion out on the internet because I had a friend who also wanted me to commission this. I'm not being paid, but I don't want to be paid for it. I'm just a random roller coaster reviewer / shit poster. So, I hope you guys have a great insert unit of time here. If you enjoy the video, feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. I said that completely backwards because yes, and as always, I wish you guys peace. I'm going to bed.